Right. I wasn't sure. Okay.
Dana, you're a filmmaker in Lebanon. Could you
True.
tell us a bit about your work?
Um, my own personal work,
Right.
I'm a filmmaker and I've mostly documentary work. Um, I did a feature documentary, came out in 2004 called Until When, and it followed four Palestinian families from a refugee camp in the West Bank. And basically, at the time I was living in New York, and it was a kind of a response to the media images that were out there. And what we wanted to do as a group was just show everyday people trying to sort of get by and live their lives, which is sort of the majority of the population is trying to do that. And so it was just a very personal, intimate portrait of these families. None of the regular sort of clashes you see or images you see on regular TV, at least not in the US. And then I've also done a lot of sort of stuff on memory and home, just in a more personal way. And I also work on other people's films, wherever that may be.
It must be a tough time to work out of Lebanon, tough and challenging because of the conflict.
Yes.
Okay, and what are the main challenges there?
Well, new in the place, so the whole politics of it is kind of I'm trying to understand a little bit more. Even people who live there for such a long time tell me it's quite a difficult thing
I
to
see.
understand, a place to understand. And I've been involved there in some youth media as well.
I see.
Working with some youth from Palestinian refugee camps. There was a refugee camp that was totally destroyed called Nahr al-Barid, and I worked with some young people from there, making some films with them about that experience. Also involved in something called Cinema for Life,
What's
and
that?
it came out of the 2006 Israeli invasion of Lebanon. And actually Muzna is also is a founding member of that, so I joined them. And basically the idea there was to, again, just have a representation that is more like people's daily lives rather than
Something very extreme and conflict pro based.
yeah. And then they worked with different young people and also supported filmmakers during that time to create films, and we're trying to sort of sustain it. It came out of conflict, but what we're struggling with now is trying to sustain it so that it sustains even beyond conflict, and hopefully creates dialogue around the political situation, the sectarianism, um, and so forth.
What's the filmmaking scene in the region like?
Um, well, I guess it's picking up a lot in documentary film, particularly is picking up. Um, um, yeah, I mean, and there's, for example, in Syria now, there's a documentary film festival called Docsbox. In Lebanon, there used to be one. I think it's no longer no longer there. But there's lots of other film festivals.
I
Um, I think what would be really cool for our next step is to sort of make more connections and sort of build more of a grassroots social movement where documentary is part of that. I don't know that there's so much interconnection on a broader level, and maybe between individually between filmmakers, but not so much on a kind of bigger level.
So you grew up in the States and are now working in Lebanon.
Well, I
What's
grew
the
up in
context?
Jordan
Okay.
and the Gulf when I was younger, and then we moved to the States, and I lived there for quite a bit, for 17 years.
So it's a
and
big
then,
challenge, culturally speaking.
well, 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 no, in some ways, I love New York, but in some ways it's nice to be back. I've sort of been going back and forth working on films, but it's nice to be back in terms of sort of a day-to-day life. Things are closer, people are closer.
I see.
Um, Making a living is not so, and
Tough, yeah, yeah.
I don't make so much money. So in a city like New York, it's quite hard sometimes. The pace of it and expense of it. But the harder part is sort of the political situation and the tensions that kind of resurface that disrupt the routine of everyday
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there's been, since I've been there, there's been two tensions. There was once where Hezbollah.
2005?
No, no, I just moved in 2007,
Okay.
but 2000. Wait, we're 2009. Yeah, 2008. There was the Gaza conflict recently, and then earlier there was something with Hezbollah and on the streets, and it really sort of disrupts the daily routine of life. And it's hard to deal with.
And